In this video, I'm just going to show you the basic graph of a cosine function. Not with too much in it, just with um, a period that's not the regular 2 pi or 360 degrees, and an amplitude that's different from 1. Okay, so first thing you should know is that the period is basically the interval for which one cycle of it is, right? So this is a cosine curve right here, looks like, because apparently, according to this one, they kind of started here. So I'm assuming that this was a cosine. And the amplitude, now the amplitude, if you look at the midline, right? So you kind of have to know what the middle of it is. The distance from that middle to the height, or the middle to the bottom of it, that is the amplitude. All right, so not the whole height, not the whole length of it, but from the midline to the top, or the midline to the bottom. Now, this number right here tells us the amplitude. And now, usually, we have a one period or one cycle of the graph in 2 pi if there's no number here. But if there is, you just have to divide that 2 pi by whatever number is told to us there. All right, so the amplitude is 2. And let's simplify this thing. So that's really, I'm going to write it like this. All right, the top number is 2 pi over 1, right? Because you can write any number over 1, divided by negative pi over 4. Oh, I should have mentioned this as well. You don't need, the negative doesn't matter when you're trying to find the cycle or the period of it. So you could just take the absolute value of that. Okay, now you know when you're dividing fractions, that's the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So that's times 4 over pi. And that's good because then the pi's cancel, and all we remain with is 2 times 4 is 8. And when the pi's don't really cancel, you get 1, right? They divide into 1. But 1 times 1 is 1, so you don't really have to have that number there. So the period is just 8. So what does that mean? Well, that means, thankfully, there's no shifting of the graph up or down or anything. So the midline is going to remain right in the middle here. Since the amplitude is 2, well, I know from the midline, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger just because I have the room for it. I know the midline is here. So from the midline to the top is 2, or from the midline to the bottom needs to have a length of 2. Let's see. Since the period is 8, so the way I like to think about it is, now usually there's a pi or something here because we like to do that. Usually the full thing is 2 pi, but hey, if one cycle in it happens at 8, I'm just going to pick a point in here and call it 8. Then the middle of that function happens at when this value here is 4, right? This is really the angle in radians. So quarter of it happens at 2, and I guess this is nice because now you could check it. You could just calculate where the other one is. So that's 8. Halfway is 4. Half of that is 2. Well, if a quarter of it is 2, just kind of add another 2 on here to that 4, and you get 6. All right, so you just have to divide it up into 4 nice equal pieces. And that's where you'll have your basic points, your key points, as they say here. Now, you'll have to also know what a cosine function looks like and what a sine function looks like. Before I said, I think they're using cosine here. No, I think I was wrong. Nope, no, that's right. So a sine function begins at 0. A sine function with no phase shift or anything like that. Just sine of x. Starts at 0, and it ends at 0, and it goes up like that, comes down like that, and then back like that. However, cosine starts at 1, and then it goes down and up and back at 1 like that, right? And that's one cycle of it. So I'm going to start my cosine because this is cosine. I'm going to start it up here. Now the bottom is right in the middle, right? So at my middle point, I'm going to have it right here. And then where it crosses is actually right here, right? And then when it crosses back up, well, it has to end. It has to end at 2, right? Because it's one full cycle. So right in the middle is 6. Now it looks like a V, like a straight V. But of course, you know it's a nice smooth curve. So when you're graphing, kind of like think about something curving. Now, oh, I'm doing a horrible job, but that's okay, right? Because it's a sketch. It wasn't meant to be accurate, and it didn't say to graph just one period. Did it say that? No, it just said to sketch a graph of it. So, just kind of continue it like that. And if you want to put some numbers, you can, but that's good for me. So like if that's 8, then in another 2, it should really cross. So this should have really been my 10 right here. This should have been my 12, but that's okay. All right, you guys get the point. This is one period.